Like, it almost feels like a troll. It's so stupid. Thursday, Variety put out this article titled Disney's Boy Trouble. Studio seeks original IP to win back Gen Z men amid Marvel and Lucasfilm struggles.
You freaking freaks! When will you learn? When will you learn that your actions have consequences?
Yeah, they weren't alone. Several outlets are reporting that Disney is pushing for original IP pitches to attract a young male audience because the one they have is shrinking. Now, first impression,
well, obviously.
But I have a theory that Disney would have screwed these IPs up eventually, no matter what, because they have a deeper problem. Like, sure, they let in a bunch of people who don't share the same values with much of the audience and, in many cases, actively hate them, but that's only half the problem. See, the boardroom is just as detached from the viewers as the blue-haired, pierced septum, they-them social justice warriors who are writing some of these stories. MBAs and SJWs share a problem. They don't see people. They see groups, and they will continue to fail as long as they try to target demographics instead of making quality productions with real human themes. But let's get some catharsis, hit the obvious point first with regard to the inverting of their purchased brands. Yes, this is a FAFO situation. Play stupid games, win stupid prizes, you are 1000% justified in laughing at their failure caused by their own stupidity. Disney purchased Marvel and Lucasfilm with the specific intent to integrate a male audience into the Disney sphere, and those companies came with them built in. Then, somehow, they proceeded to change these famous IPs they just bought in order to make them appeal more to women.
I knew exactly what to do, but in a much more real sense, I had no idea what to do.
You are also justified in feeling salty about it. I love when I see the weak defense of,
why do you care so much?
Because it adds to the humor of this situation. Disney courted an audience that does not care, then wondered why sales went down. It's because they're flakes. They're in it for the conquest, for the internet clout. Tourists don't respect you in the morning, Bob. But the reality is that you, viewer, do care, and you have reason to feel slighted. Now look, it's important to remember, a company doesn't owe you anything just because you bought their product. The transaction was made, that's all that was promised. However, when you do spend a lot of your resources, your energy, your time, your money, helping to build up a brand, and then after they're successful, they specifically say, thanks, we'd like a different audience now. Yeah, you get to feel frustrated because you were directly insulted and tossed aside. I hope you don't feel too insulted if I do a little begging for you to hit that like button. Come on, it's what I do. Hey, but seriously, how could I insult you guys? You are amazing. I didn't make 100,000 burner accounts. That's you guys. Look, I don't want to get all mushy, but I genuinely want to say thank you. I appreciate you hanging out with me and supporting what I do. It means a lot. Thank you very much. So, how did Disney go about chasing this new audience? By hiring creatives to tell new, non-traditional stories focusing on social politics. Just last week, we discussed the behind-the-scenes story of Elio, which was originally an exploration of an 11-year-old's queer sexuality that he fully realizes via aliens that he asks to abduct him.
I was just, I was grooming.
You had Captain Marvel, She-Hulk, Rey Palpatine, Hell Indiana Jones. Disney has not been shy about their effort to make their properties more appealing to women. And look, there's no problem in trying to expand your demographic. That's just good business. To a point. When it comes at the cost of your original audience, well, now you're either ideologically captured or you're just inept. Like, work in some more female characters to Star Wars? Yeah, cool. That's probably a good idea. Stating that the Force is female and then that the male-dominated fan base attack women in the fandom?
Bad idea.
And when I say that some of these creatives hate the audience, I'm not overstating. Last year, I trudged through a ton of interviews with Leslie Headland, creator of Star Wars The Acolyte. I'll stick one of those little boxes here. You can click and watch those. She hates men. Hates them. She is an intersectional feminist, and so many Hollywood creatives buy into intersectional and critical theories and their corresponding language. Both intersectionality and critical theory require an oppressor, by definition. You can't be victimized if there is no victimizer. That oppressor, of course, is straight white men. When people say diversity, that's shorthand for less white, less male, and less heteronormative. Please find me a bunch of examples otherwise. Well, the audience for Marvel and Lucas IPs was mostly male, and since most of the American population is white, that audience was also pretty white. You can't hate your audience thinking of them as oppressors and then expect them to stick around. They can feel your disdain. But even worse is the gaslighting that it isn't happening. There's going to be some in this comment section.
Oh, a whole grown man complaining that everything isn't about him sounds about white.
Yeah, it will be there. I know. And look, I just want to say thank you for the engagement.
I feel bad for you.
I don't think about you at all.
But beyond the chip on their shoulders, writers with an intersectional or critical theory mindset have an extremely hard time writing compelling stories because they're obsessed with being different and undermining the past and letting the audience know about it in the most opaque and insufferable ways.
We would have been so much better off if you were a girl.
It's why they suck at fantasy, especially, because they can't stop talking about current year social issues in their medieval fantasy setting.
So, I'm non-binary.
Thanks to Tosh.
That's why we recruited her.
Actually, Tosh uses them for themselves now.
They asked us to let folks know, so now you do. Yeah. I appreciate it.
Thank you for telling me. That's why we recruited them.
Okay, so the writing is trash, the creatives hate the audience, so they left. No surprise there, we've covered all that before. But this article and several others that cite Iger's message to those creatives reveal that Disney leadership is even more to blame. Yes, they allowed the weirdos to be hired, but it's deeper than that. Disney leadership is calling for original IP to lure men back to the theaters, according to the article, and that's the first issue. Originality is not required. Quality is. They're so obsessed with novelty, which is part of the postmodern problem that they have. Novelty is not innovation, but Disney continues to falsely equate the two. You know what? Let me tell you about an incredible sequel that I saw recently, which was itself based on a book series. Bad Guys 2 is amazing. You should go see it. Sadly, it's doing poorly, and my guess is that a lot of you didn't even know it was out. I don't know what's going on with the marketing, but I strongly recommend you check this out, and its poor box office performance is actually a boon for you. A few days ago, it already went on video on demand. You can rent it right now. This thing is laugh out loud funny. It has an amazing soundtrack all the way through. It's heartfelt. It's all the things that you want in a family movie, and yes, it is a family movie. My entire family loved it. It got 10s from everyone, including me, except the 11-year-old. He only gave it a 9. The 5-year-old gave it a 100 out of 100. It's set up for a third installment, and I can't wait to see that. So, go rent that, go to the theater, show DreamWorks some love, but really more importantly, you deserve to see a great movie, and this is it. Go see it!
What are you waiting for? Do it!
So Disney doesn't need original IP, especially with regard to Marvel and Lucasfilm. Marvel has comic stories to make movies off of for decades, and the Star Wars Extended Universe is the same. I recently finished the Thrawn Trilogy. I actually need to stick the third book right here with the other two. It was excellent. That would make an outstanding show, or perhaps a movie duology. This is what I'm talking about with Disney screwing up these IPs, even if they never hired the SJW writers. Their pride in original ideas and their overestimation of the interest of novelty would have screwed it up regardless. Look at that Galactic Starcruiser vacation hotel. You tell me you're going to build a $1 billion resort that asks guests to play along with cosplaying staff on a 2-day interactive Star Wars adventure, and you didn't include original trilogy stuff? I'm so shocked that it failed. But even their language tells you they don't understand the core problems in their approach. And it's in this article as well. While discussing how David Greenbaum is being brought on to shore up the live action film side of Disney, the article cites that the label has been sorely lacking in guy-leaning fare like Pirates of the Caribbean. Whoa. Time out. There's the problem right there. Did you catch that? That description, it might be technically correct, but my money would be on the Pirates franchise being like 60-40 men to women. Women enjoy the hell out of those movies, and it's not just because they're thirsting for Depp and Bloom. They're just good movies. And to categorize them as guy movies shows how these folks are unable to think about anything but identity groups. Disney needs Gen Z men? How about Disney needs to tell interesting stories? But no, it's always the identity with this kind of person, and that is exactly the issue. That is what is dehumanizing about this mindset. They don't tell human stories, they write plots and pick the cast to appeal to market demographics. Other than Bad Guys 2, my shortlist for Movie of the Year contains an animated Netflix movie about a K-pop girl group. Now, I'm not Korean, or any sort of Asian, or Latino, just for the record, despite people wondering if I am actually other Joe. To clear things up, I'm really Polish, or French. Family history's kind of fuzzy. I'm also not young, or a girl, so how on earth could I get so involved in this movie? Because it's a human story. It has themes that I can feel and relate to, and they're executed well, woven into an entertaining production. By saying that they need products to appeal to men or Gen Z or whatever, you can tell Disney is already set up to continue failing because they're asking the wrong questions. This is the core problem with metric-based decision-making for everything. It's cold and sterile. It's heartless. It's dehumanizing. Let's go back to the most classic example, still top of the dung heap, that is Rey Palpatine. This is a bad character, no matter how you look at it. Her motivations are not consistent with what she says and does. Her lack of challenge or internal struggle or theme make for a boring story. Just bad, period. But the reason nobody at Disney Lucasfilm noticed this or didn't care is because they thought that just by existing as a woman, Rey would attract female viewers. First of all, how is that not incredibly insulting to women? But second, the failure of that character is obviously what happens when you don't treat them as a character, but as an asset that you can responsibly leverage to target key demographics for sustainable growth to deliver shareholder value while moving the ball down the field for inclusivity and a better tomorrow. Disney, or any company, does not need to court men or women or young people or whatever. They need to make a quality product that fits what fans of a genre want from that genre, executed well. Like, we all say that Disney bought Lucasfilm and Marvel to get a male audience. That's partially true, but it's not true that Star Wars or Marvel are for men. Star Wars is for people who like sci-fi and fantasy and epic adventure. That's mostly men, true, but when you're trying to make Star Wars for men instead of for people who like Star Wars, you're already off track and it's going to fail. When you look at their language, it makes sense that Disney did hire a bunch of activists because, like I said, both MBAs and SJWs don't see people. They see groups. They see percentages and year-over-year gains in target sectors. It's gross, and it's destroying companies like Disney right under their noses. With each new thing they release and each new statement from their CEO, I have less and less faith that this company will ever be able to find their way out of the hole they've dug for themselves. They don't need new IP, they need good stories. Not stories for men or women or Gen Z, but for people. But what do you think? How might they go about getting more male audience? Do you think they need original IPs, or can franchises like Marvel, Star Wars, and Indiana Jones be revived? Let me know in the comments. I appreciate you watching. I'll see you next time.